Action fanatics, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. I'm your host, Chris the Brain. Joining me once again, it is the Toyman, Chris DePetrillo.
Back in effect. What's going on, action fans?
And of course, we couldn't do a show without Ryan Campbell, could we?
What's going on, everybody? I made it. I wasn't attacked by Chuck Norris fans this past week. I'll let you know what happens in 10 years. Maybe they'll get me in 10 years, but I'm here this week.
You never.
That's true. You were not missing in action this week.
I was not.
Nope, he is here to face the music, I guess. We do want to thank everybody for checking out our Missing in Action to the Beginning podcast last week, and we're glad you've joined us once again. But you know what I like to talk about, guys, before we get into the show? I like to talk about bulletproofaction.com. We are in a new month now, the month of March. And Ryan Campbell, you have a couple new movies I know on your radar for this month.
Yeah, I'm excited. Mickey 17 coming out, which is from the visionary director Bong Joon-ho, who did obviously Snowpiercer, which is one of my favorite kind of genre indie sci-fi movies. So I'm looking forward to watching that one. Yeah, it should be a good month. And then heading off into March and to April, we got Last of Us and Andor season 2, which unfortunately this past week they announced they're going to be doing them in like 3-episode blocks, which kind of bums me out, but we'll be there covering them all.
Indeed. And of course, Invincible, you'll be wrapping that up as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on there. And
shoot, by the time they hear this, there might only be like one episode left.
True.
We might be getting ready for the finale.
And don't forget about The Electric State as well.
That's right, on Netflix. I keep forgetting about that.
Coming out. And Toyman, you've got a show you're going to be covering as well for us. Daredevil Reborn.
Woo!
Daredevil Born Again.
Born Again. I'm sorry.
Born Again. Name taken from one of my all-time favorite Marvel Comics storylines. And, the trailers have made this one look good. Daredevil was the best of the bunch as far as the Marvel Netflix shows went. So I am very interested in seeing this one. Last time we saw Matt Murdock was on She-Hulk, which was a great show, but a comedic spin, and this appears to be very much not that. So it's going to be great seeing Daredevil, Punisher, Kingpin, getting back to basics. I have an affinity for the street level heroes of the Marvel universe, so we'll see where the story goes.
They're keeping that really close to the vest on that one. Usually by now, with it coming out so soon, you start seeing people that saw the first 2 or 3 episodes, and you start seeing some takes, but I haven't seen much about it yet. They're makes me really interested in what they're going to do with it.
It's very ambiguous. It's like, obviously, there's some type of conflict with Kingpin. They've shown the discussion between the two, and the Punisher showing up. I know Muse, who's a more recent villain, just debuted over. Has it been more than 5 years? So we'll say the past decade. But Muse is not a classic villain. I'm sure that his appearance will probably make his first appearance spike in value with all the comic book speculator collectors out there. So, there's a lot of pieces to put together. I don't know, obviously they're not following the original Born Again storyline to a T. This just appears to be the way to segue the Matt Murdock Daredevil character into the Disney-fied Marvel universe, the Disney Plus universe. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see where they go with this one. But, the trailers have looked great. I've got high hopes for it.
Yeah, as this episode drops, that will be on tomorrow or tonight. And then I'm sure by tomorrow we will have Toyman's coverage of that. Here's something that I will be covering. And if you listened to our show last time, you will know that Ryan Campbell would not be doing this because I'm going to be paying tribute to Mr. Chuck Norris on his birthday later this month. Also, a little ninja.
Whew. I'm glad I got that in before March started.
A little ninja action. And later in the month, the new Jason Statham, A Working Man, comes out. Plus, I will have a Reacher Season 3 recap. So, a busy March. And you never know what else you never know what Matt Spector's going to pull out of thin air. He always finds some oddballs, and who knows what else might pop up as we progress in the month of March. Bulletproofaction.com. And that's where you want to go for all this. Today on our show, we are going to be covering one that we've meant to cover for quite some time. Chad Cruz and I actually tried to do a watch along episode. I want to say this. I have tried a watch along with everyone, and they all were failures.
You never tried one with me?
We did Ninja 3, The Domination.
I do not.
And it was all right. That one, I think we had no technical problems, but it was just I think that's when I'm like, you know what? Our audience is not big enough to justify a watch along show. Number one,
there you go. It's on you, audience.
Number
Get
one,
there.
it's like,
get us there.
It's such a small audience. And then if we're like, okay, now everybody log into whatever this is it's on, what are the odds that small sampling has the streaming service that is on? And plus, people aren't watching or listening immediately anyway. So maybe it was there streaming somewhere, but by the time you get to the app, it was just a mess.
That's the thing. You could watch it could be 2 weeks after we post it, and it's already on a different streaming service or not available the way it is now.
If we had like 50,000 people listening every week, and all right, well, at least 10,000 people got to it. Wonderful. But we don't have those kind of numbers, folks. I'm just pulling the curtain back a little bit. Not yet. That's okay. That's a good mindset to have. Not yet. But what we're talking about is Mission of Justice. Chris, one might say Jeff Wincott's pinnacle.
Yeah, definitely my favorite Jeff Wincott film. One of my absolute favorites. Spoiler alert, as we haven't even really started talking about it, but I love this movie. Still have my original taped off TV VHS tape of it. It's a film that desperately needs a physical media upgrade, something else that I'm sure we'll dive into the more we talk about this film and the people that it stars, because this is not only peak Wincott, but it's got one hell of an ensemble cast. He is not just carrying the movie on his back. He's got some pretty strong support in the
And
I
think that's a big difference from when we talked about the Piper and Billy Blanks movies, where they didn't have, all the star power was on one side, and unless you count Gary Robbins.
That's right.
But
you don't have to work too hard for that.
Was in that big giant form.
In that cutoff shirt.
I've got that in early on this episode. But yeah, Mission of Justice, Jeff Wincott. This one hit video stores in the United States on December the 16th, 1992. I might have a VHS.
My 12th birthday.
Oh, yeah. Happy 12th birthday, Toyman.
This was a birthday present.
No wonder you like it so much. And, I may have a VHS copy of this movie. I feel like I might. It's probably sad that I don't know for sure, but I think I might. If I have it, maybe I'll post a picture of said VHS on the Twitter machine. But yeah, here's an interesting thing though. This wasn't meant to be Mission of Justice originally. This is going to be another martial law movie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And on I watched it off Popcorn Flicks. They actually put AKA Martial Law 3. Was it just that they were so impressed with it and thought it was good enough to just kind of stand alone on its own thing, or what?
It is interesting because I know the excuse that they gave was that Cynthia Rothrock was not returning, so they scrapped the sequel. But when you think about it, Chris, that doesn't really make sense because Wincott wasn't in the first one. He took the place of Chad McQueen, so obviously they don't care if people don't show back up. They'll just replace you.
Is his character named Kurt Harrison?
No, he's Sean. But so Chad McQueen's character was Sean. He plays the exact same character. So why didn't they just have Karen Sheperd?
Maybe Rothrock didn't want Karen Sheperd stepping in.
True. There was a bit of a rivalry between those two. I think they're okay now, but there was a little bit of bad blood. And I think it goes back to the tournament days.
And I mean, the title that you get when you think of Mission of Justice, you think, okay, this guy's on a mission for revenge. He's a vigilante or something. But as we find out, yes, you can take the title literally to mean that, but there's also a literal, physical if you're homeless, if you're down on your luck, you go to the
Right.
mission for help. There is an actual mission of justice housing these vigilantes here in the film.
It is kind of funny to name your movie after the evil organization, but
My favorite mission is
Or the organization that doesn't really know that they're
right.
evil.
My favorite mission is the mission of barbecue.
that is a pretty good mission.
I might have to. It's too late. They're closed. All right. So again, you may in your territory it may have been released as Martial Law 3, or like Ryan said, they just kind of do a little AKA on the Popcorn Flicks machine. But let's get into it. It's officers Kurt Harris, Jeff Wincott, and Lynn Steele, Karen Sheperd, and they're responding to domestic violence call at a motel. And they don't waste any time, Chris, getting right into this action.
Yeah, the scumbag boyfriend or husband who's abusing his wife gets tossed out into the street, right through a window by Jeff Wincott, and brought in for beating his wife, who appears afraid to testify. But it seems like this has happened before, and finally she's gonna put the bastard, there you
Dang.
go, first one, ding, behind bars.
Yeah, I did like that we got Kurt reading the Miranda rights as he was kicking the shit out of this guy.
Oh, I think that this opening just sets the tone for the entire film in a great way. Like he reads him, and before he's even done, he puts that boot in his ass and shoves him in the back of the cop car, slams the door. Everyone is so intense. Everyone is screaming. Every like hit, everything is so emphatic and like the intent, and it stays that way throughout the entire film. This is one of the most continuously intense films I can remember, and props to them for keeping that energy up throughout the entire.
And I didn't ask you, but because I kind of can figure it out by the way you're talking. This was the first. This is the one I showed you before. I couldn't remember if this is one I showed you, but I don't think it was.
No, this was a first time viewing for me.
So, but their night has just begun. They got this guy that take him down, but then a call comes in that there is a robbery in progress at a liquor store. So they're passing by, so they're going to respond. And they get there. Kurt sees that there's actually a delivery going on in the back, so that's going to be his in to get inside. And then Lynn will come through the front door, and they'll take care of some business. And boy, we haven't even caught our breath from the first bit of action, Ryan, and here we have a crazy liquor store fight.
This movie had some really incredible fight scenes, both in the uniqueness of the location, using that location to kind of tell the story of the fight. One moment in this just had me cracking up laughing. I scrubbed back and watched it like 5 times. It's when Lynn Steele comes in and is getting involved in the fight, and one of the bad guys just picks her up, turns her sideways. She almost goes completely prone, and then just like runs her head into the side of a shelf. And just the noise, like another thing, the audio cues that they added, the Foley art that they did for the different kinds of punch sounds and everything was fantastic in this movie. The noise that it makes when her head hits that shelf. I went back and watched it like 5 times. It was fantastic. But yeah, it was a really good
move when you pick a guy up on the floor and go to run him into the turnbuckle.
Oh, for sure. It 100% reminded me of. And of course, I don't know that she was going to be could hold her own. We're going to see as the movie goes on that she can more than hold her own. I don't really know who she is yet. So for all I know, it's just some random cop that gets picked up, turned sideways, and then just ran, head first into a shelf. But great opening, not even an opening fight scene, but just a great scene in that.
So yeah, they destroy a good portion of the store as well in their attempt to stop these bad guys. But wouldn't you know that one of the thieves still gets off with the money. So that means Kurt has to chase after him. But now, Chris, we are introduced to one of the peacemakers.
Yeah, peacemakers. So if you remember or are familiar with the Guardian Angels, the peacemakers in this film are pretty much, I don't want to say a knockoff or ripoff, but that's basically what they're standing in and trying to be. They are a group of vigilantes that patrol the streets and walk around. And we meet Jimmy Parker, played by Billy Sly Williams, who I always have to mention when there's a connection to the other side of the world of entertainment that I love, far away from the action. But Billy Sly Williams played a record executive on an episode of City Guys, one of my favorite TNBC shows, later on in the 90s. But he decides to jump in and is able to save the day, much to the enjoyment of the homeless people that are positioned behind him, applauding the fact that he knocked out the biker that was escaping with all of the cash.
That's right. They may be homeless, but they're still part of this community. They want it cleaned up.
I want to say that I did call Las Vegas to see if they would take any action on Toyman mentioning City Guys, because I knew that was a sure bet, and they would not take it because I was going to be a very
you found the one thing,
very rich man, very rich man. So yeah, so this good for the liquor store owner because his money is back, but this.
It won't pay for all the damage.
This does not look good for the cops that, is vigilante. These basically they're like the West Coast guardian angels. And, doesn't look good. And we find out that, this is kind of a power struggle because there is an election coming up to elect the mayor of Eastgate. And we're going to meet the challenger to that incumbent. It's Dr. Rachel K. Larkin, played by Brigitte Nielsen, and she runs the physical mission of justice.
Like in the title.
So she's being interviewed, and she takes time to spotlight the man who thwarted the robbery attempt, Jimmy Parker. He gets on there, and we find out that Jimmy was once a gang member. He's cleaned up his life. And you know what? You elect her, and the streets of Eastgate will be clean in a month. What a bold prompt. That's classic politician talk right there. He's making a big promise.
And like most, other politicians that make promises like that, you find out that they're completely corrupt and evil behind the scenes.
All right. Moving on. We go to the police station, and we see Sergeant Duncan. What a pain in the ass this guy is, Chris. And his name?
Yeah, Duncan, played by Christopher Creasy.
He pops up in a lot of things.
Who was a character actor. Yeah, he was in a lot. He was in Bounty Tracker with Lorenzo Lamas.
City Guys?
I remember him from there. He was not in City Guys, but he was in an episode of Melrose Place. Talking about Roddy Piper and Billy Blanks, he was in Tough and Deadly.
Okay.
With them.
I don't think we mentioned him.
He was in a lot of Bulletproof favorites. Cyber Tracker 2.
That's a good one. Down the Dragon.
Yeah. He was in an episode of Dynasty. He was in Summer School with Mark Harmon. Excellent movie. So, but here he is the douchebag sergeant who, because Jeff Wincott, playing Kurt Harris, doesn't play by the rules. So this is, it's the bureaucracy, man. He's got to put his foot down. What are you doing? What are you doing taking my informant in?
Yeah. Then he says, I let him go. What? You let him go? So Kurt bolts out the door, tells Lynn, and they're racing back to that motel. And what's going on? That guy is beating on poor Maria once again. But this time, Ryan, he takes it too far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they shoot it with all behind the bed, so you're not actually seeing it. But yeah, man, he was laying into this poor woman. And of course, unfortunately, she does pass away from this beating, which causes Kurt to go ballistic. And again, he starts laying in those punches too. I mean, he's about to beat this guy to a pulp before he gets stopped. But sadly, and I know that's tough. We clearly saw how much that meant to Kurt and how that this particular cause of domestic violence mattered to him. And he really was pushing her to, prosecute him and to speak at the trial so they can put him behind bars for good. And to see it go, this was pretty sad.
Yeah, the way this was shot, you could definitely tell Michael Winner was not the director.
Yeah, there were no lingering shots of it.
No. So yeah, back at the police station, they bring the guy in again. Duncan's all like, whoa, what? And he's like, he gets punched in the face. So
Don't forget the perp gets a
He
nice
gets an
elbow to
elbow.
the
Yeah, he
face, too,
gets
and
an
starts like
elbow.
dripping blood all over the paperwork.
Perfect. And then he just quits. He quits on the spot. And it's not just Duncan, because don't let Duncan. It's not him. It's the whole damn system. We process them and they just get spit right back out. Bullshit. So now we meet another character, Samuel. And he's just like a stooge for the Mission of Justice. He runs like a little branch office. And he goes to the gym operated by former boxing heavyweight champion of the world, Cedric Williams, played by the one and only Tony Burton. Nice to see Tony Burton in a non-Rocky role. I know he was also on an episode of the A-Team, but you don't see him pop up in too many things. So it's nice when you do.
It's also, but you know what? To your point, it's not a Rocky role, but it is a Rocky reunion because you've got two of the main stars of Rocky IV here with Brigitte Nielsen and Tony Burton.
Absolutely. So Samuel's like, hey, you haven't been at the mission. Dr. Larkin needs the endorsement. She's got this big celebrity endorsement, the big celebrity in town. But he doesn't seem interested at all. And he's like, you better not use my name anymore on any of this campaign stuff. And then Samuel leaves in a little huff, and Cedric goes and hits the heavy bag to relieve some stress. And that's about the time Ryan Campbell, his old buddy Kurt, shows up, having some stress of his own to relieve.
Yeah, you got to imagine, when you're down in the dumps, you get back and you just want to, hit that heavy bag. And Cedric, of course, mentions, that tells him that he's no longer working with the Peacekeepers, but offers him a job to come in. And all these kids nowadays, they're not so much into boxing, they're into karate. So if he could teach some moves, he can give them some money, help keep them alive. So they're kind of going to, help each other out as they both kind of find what they're going to do next.
But yeah, first we got to get a nice they get a workout in as well. Not a full blown training montage, but enough.
Just some pump and some iron,
And Kurt does want to know a little bit more about how he and Cedric and Dr. Larkin had a falling out. But he's like, hey, I'll tell you about that tomorrow. I've got to take care of the books tonight. All right, Kurt leaves. Jimmy was still there, finishing up his workout. Asks, hey, can I take a shower before I go? Oh, sure, I'll be in the office. Then the little door buzzer goes off, and we get some unwelcome guests, Chris.
Yeah, what a tag team. The heel tag team tandem of James Liu and Matthias Hues flanking Dr. Larkin, with Matthias playing her brother. So, I mean, even without James Liu there, that's already a pretty formidable force, but I guess we could call it a triple threat, never mind a tag team.
Can I disturb you gentlemen with some information?
Oh, always.
No, he didn't come right out and say, but he didn't name names, but he strongly alluded in his book, I'm talking about Matthias Hues, that while this movie was being made, he and Brigitte Nielsen, who play brother and sister in the film, were playing something else in the trailers and after hours.
Playing Doctor?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, I mean, she did look pretty great in this film, both in her official roles, but in her when later down the movie when he does the gauntlet, she's looking pretty good in that scene. I gotta say.
Well, yeah, she was still at the height of her powers for sure. So yeah, there could have been a little hanky panky going on between Matthias and Brigitte.
Those straight to VHS sets, man, they were probably
bone fast. All right, next thing you know.
Well, I mean, let's not forget Matthias played somebody who had an incestuous relationship with his mother in Black Belt. So this is not the most scandalous role here. Well, I mean, there was no implication of anything between brother and sister in the movie. We're that story obviously being based in reality. So he's played some darker edged characters.
Didn't we cover Black Belt? I don't remember.
I mean, I know I've covered it. Did we discuss Black Belt?
I think we may have, or maybe we were going to.
Did we pod Black Belt?
Feel like.
See, that's what happens when you go on a hot streak and you manage to put together content every week, folks. You can't remember what you've discussed.
It just becomes
that
a
was
blur.
Last year. I feel like maybe I don't know. We'll look it up. So yeah, the next thing you know, Cedric's like, all right, Titus, you want a shot at the champ? Come on in the ring. And Cedric starts off hot.
Famous last
Starts
words.
off hot. You could
Never
see
goes
why
wrong.
he was the heavyweight champion of the world. And then Titus breaks his hands. A boxer with broken hands is not very effective, Ryan Campbell.
No, and a fantastic acting there from Tony Burton when he's on his
yeah.
knees, holding his broken hands up, just giving it his all. And that's when you're like, oh yeah, it's the guy from Rocky. So it's pretty great. But yeah, unfortunately, beats him up, drags him out of the ring, and then we see Dr. Larkin pull out her little, I don't know what you call those little half sword things, and finish him off. And that is sadly it. Thank you for your service. Cedric Williams, I appreciate it.
With her finishing move, it wasn't just like she grabbed a knife and like stabbed him. Like she like had a form to it.
Yeah, and she don't even clean them off before putting them back in their sheath either. She just puts those things right in there, tainted with blood.
That's James Liu's job. He's going to do that. And Brain, yes, we did black belt just about a year ago. It was last May.
I thought so. I'm trying to keep my brain active as I can as I get up there.
So next up, I'll have to force you to watch Black Belt 2 and we can rag on the podcast.
Maybe. So yeah,
we need a good hate watch to entertain the fans with.
Especially when we're doing them more frequently. When it was like every other week, it's like you don't want to waste it with a crap movie, but when you're pumping out the content a little bit more frequently, yeah, we'll
I already did that last week.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan Campbell had his hate watch last week.
Wait a minute. Ryan Campbell, have you seen Black Belt 2?
No, I've not.
Have you seen Black Belt 1?
No.
I could answer that.
Okay, so we've got... All right. Brain, I know you've seen Black Belt 1, obviously.
Unless I just faked my way through that show.
Wait a minute now. Is this like the wizard pulling back the curtain here?
I had somebody else write the notes and I just read them. Do you think so?
How dare you besmirch the good name of Don the Dragon?
Chat GPT.
It's almost as bad as when you make fun of Barry Chan.
Oh, goddamn Barry! Why do you got to bring up Barry Chan? Goddamn Barry Chan and his milkshake.
So Ryan Campbell, your homework in the next couple of weeks, you have to watch Don the Dragon Wilson and Black Belt 1. These are both on Tubi. I don't think
you need to watch Black Belt 1 to see Black Belt 2.
Well, no, he does.
Just so he could compare and contrast.
Like I said, it's going to be a hate watch. You need to see how great Black Belt 1 is.
Well.
And then you have to see how fucking terrible Black Belt 2 is.
I mean, it's pretty common in that genre. That happens a little bit, pretty often, where the second and third ones just go all completely off the rails and don't even compare to the first one.
Especially since Black Belt 2 was filmed 3 years prior to Black Belt 1. It was an entirely different movie.
Figure that out, everybody. Because we haven't. So yeah, Cedric's dead. Jimmy, though, was coming. He saw it. There was like a window in the door there, and he's like, "Ooh, shit." So they didn't see him.
Can we just talk about like how small is this city or this town? I mean, I'm not knocking it because this is a great movie and the pacing is excellent because you're never bored. Nothing ever drags. But it feels like everything is built on a coincidence to get to the next thing. So there's the store robbery, and Kurt Harris runs into Jimmy the Peacemaker, and Jimmy the Peacemaker is like the shining star, the example that Dr. Larkin is using. But then Dr. Larkin has an issue with Cedric, which is where Jimmy trains, and then she kills Cedric, and Jimmy happened to be taking a shower and finishes his shower just in time to see Dr. Larkin and her crew kill him.
And I mean, if we want to get into it too, like later we'll find out that somebody saw Jimmy leave the gym the night of this murder. Nobody saw the freaking entourage coming in and out of there.
That's true.
Whenever I think too much about that kind of in movies, I'm just kind of go, because that's how the movie wrote it to happen. It could have happened a billion other ways, but this is the way in the multiverse that it was interesting enough to make a movie out of.
Yeah, no one saw the 6-foot-tall woman and her two imposing henchmen.
And she had another. There was that other guy too. I don't know who the hell he was. He was just kind of there. maybe he was the driver. So the next morning, Kurt shows up because it's like that was the plan. All right, we'll get together again in the morning and talk some more and figure out what we're going to do. But it's a damn crime scene, and of course Sergeant Duncan is there, and he sees Kurt, and he's like, "No civilians." And Lynn's like, "Oh, don't get yourself in any more trouble, Kurt. I'll let you know what's going on. I'll keep you in the loop." Let's go to the mission of justice, where we meet Roger Stockwell, the campaign manager, and he's a classic campaign manager type character. He's the type of guy you would see on Silk Stockings.
He is. Do you know who Roger was played by? Did you look him up?
Was it Luca something or another?
Luca Bercovici.
Yeah. Is he your cousin?
Famous not only as an actor, but also as a producer and a director. But he directed Ghoulies, an 80s classic.
Not as good as Ghoulies 2.
No, not as good. I do love Ghoulies too, because that was the one that seemed to be on the most when I was a kid. But he also directed Rockula.
Oh yeah,
with Dean Cameron from Ski School.
Yeah, I've seen that one a long time ago. Well, there you go. This guy's got some credentials. Later that night, Kurt goes back to the gym because he's going to do his own investigation. And what a bunch of shitty police work, because how did they not see this flower in all that heavy bag sand?
Just crack staff.
Like, shouldn't you be going through that sand to see? I mean,
when he mentioned it's not just the sergeant of why he was leaving, you're seeing that right now.
Mm-hmm. The crime scene team
and
sucks.
I just looked up Mr. Bercovici's IMDb, and by chance, unless you looked this up or just had a psychic connection to the man, he was on Silk Stockings.
I probably recognized him, but didn't put the names together. Yeah,
Silk Stockings, Sunset Heat, Time Track, Sequest, Walker, Texas Ranger. He was on quite a few of your favorite shows there, Brent.
I didn't even know some of those were my favorite shows, but thank you.
Well, I mean, you love Chuck Norris more than the other person that's on the podcast tonight. So.
There you go.
So yeah, Kurt finds the flower in the heavy bag sand. He's like, this is interesting. And Lynn's like, I figured you'd be here. And she's like, Cedric's hands were broken. His throat was slit. It was bad. All right. Well, then Kurt, depressed, goes home, gets drunk, and is watching a Western on the late movie. And then
was it on this?
It could have been, especially if it was Wednesdays, because back in the day, Wednesdays got wild on this. He's watching this late movie. Here's a question I had for you, gentlemen. Because during the movie, a campaign commercial comes on. I don't recall watching local TV. Like, do those ads come on late? Like, political ads? I mean, I guess they would.
Yeah,
I mean, they're paying for it, but
remembering from when I was a kid, my father was a firefighter, so he worked a lot of odd hours, and we used to have a tradition that if I, heard him come in late, like after midnight or like that, like if I woke up, he'd let me stay up for a few minutes with him. And one of the things we would watch is one of the local channels would have the daily simulcast from the dog track, the dog races. And when I was a little kid, I used to do mock bets with my dad, so we'd leave that on. And I seem to remember, even at 12:30 at night, it'd be like blah 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 for governor.
Right.
I
remember I guess it makes sense.
Ads like that running.
I don't know.
I would add to that too that those are not prime hours to sell. So a lot of those networks probably just bundle that in with the ad packages that they're selling to the campaigns, because what the hell else they're going to put in those times? So we'll give you this and this, and we'll give you 4 spots and over throughout the evening or something like that. So I would say it's more how quickly they were able to film
because it was
a relevant one because they bring up Cedric. So they filmed this new ad with Cedric and then got it running on there same day.
Roger, he's earning his keep over there. But in the commercial, on the lapel of our doctor, Kurt notices the exact same flower that he found in the sand.
I don't think it's very native to Eastgate either.
So the next day, Kurt goes to a Mission of Justice branch office. Again, it must be big enough that they have like little branch offices. I'm talking about Eastgate, of course. And Samuel is there because he's the stooge. And Kurt's like, I'm interested in joining. So they have a little interview, but it gets interrupted by, who could have guessed it? Those same damn liquor store thieves. They're pissed that the peacemakers got involved. So they go to this Mission of Justice satellite office, and they want to cause some shit. They want to stir shit up. They want to cause some trouble.
There you go, Toyman. There's another serendipitous moment that keeps the plot
Yeah,
moving.
I was going to say, so if you want to, get arrested and go free immediately in this town, you have to be an adversary of Jeff Wincott, because the wife beater that eventually became a wife murderer gets let go easily. These guys who went running into a liquor store with shotguns and brawled with cops and, armed robbery and assault on a police officer, they're just walking free, like they're not being held.
To be fair,
So,
once
yeah,
these peacemakers start getting involved, any decent lawyer could probably get you out pretty quickly, because you can't just have, citizens taking matters into their own hands and everything.
In this town.
Citizens on Patrol. Thank you.
Excellent movie.
Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe not.
This might shock you guys. Never seen it.
It's Police Academy 2,
Wait,
Citizens on Patrol, right?
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I could see
that. Or was it 3?
4.
4? What's 2? Oh, City?
Yeah, it was 2. Nope. It was Police Academy 2, their first assignment. Police Academy 3, back in training. Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. Police Academy 5, assignment Miami Beach. Part 6 was City Under Siege. And the horrible, awful, I wish they never made it, but I watched it because it was Police Academy. Part 7, Mission to Moscow. With Ron Perlman as the villain, of all people.
They made 7 of those things?
And a television series and a cartoon. I was actually just watching the cartoon yesterday.
I think the cartoon is on the MeTV Tunes.
It is. We don't get that around here, but it's also on the the WB cartoon channel. That comes on, there's the sitcom channel that shows Perfect Strangers. But there's the cartoon channel, and Police Academy was on yesterday, so Zach and I were watching. You need to get you some
MeTV Tunes.
We had MeTV here, and then it got taken away because it was the digital sub-channel of a channel that's owned by Sinclair. And then Sinclair was like, we're not going to renew your contract. We're just going to put our channels on the digital sub-channels.
Telecommunications bastards.
That's why we don't have Saturday Night Stooges here anymore before UFC starts.
Get it together. Providence, Rhode Island, TV. Doesn't matter. Okay. So Kurt steps in these thieves and he kicks their asses again. And then Samuel's like, oh, I believe we got a spot for you. Now it's only 2 weeks left until the election.
And let's not forget how the guy was like, instead of being like, you're that damn cop, he's like, ain't you the guy from the liquor store?
Right, the guy. I did want to say, I do believe I saw during this whole situation, the boom mic seemed to make an appearance once or twice.
Ooh. A lot of times that happens.
Maybe it was set up that way in the mission. Maybe that's why it was the Mission satellite office. It was like an old, converted studio.
I think you see it sometimes though, because they filmed them, especially the straight to the VHS releases, because they're going to be formatted for a TV, and then in the digital digitizing process, it probably maybe you see a little bit more of the frame than what was originally going to be on it. So it's possible that boom mic wouldn't have been seen on your VHS, but it did show up. You see that every once in a while. If you look on the edges of a lot of older stuff that gets digitized and reformatted to different aspect ratios, you start seeing some stuff.
Good point. Only 2 weeks to the election, we meet Jimmy's grandma, Flora. And boy, does Flora adore Dr. Larkin.
Sweet Flora, poor thing.
And we find out that Dr. Larkin, Dr. Larkin, oh, Flora, blah. It's all bullshit. She wants her property. And she does have like this house in the middle of nowhere.
It's like the up house.
Just a house. There's like everything else is going around it. She's got this house.
It's all boarded. It looks like a drug house. It's like all boarded up, and there's
like an early attempt at gentrification here in Mission of Justice.
There you go.
Yeah, she was gonna build a Starbucks there, and she needed Flora out. So yeah, then Samuel shows up with Kurt. He's like, "Oh, hate to interrupt you, Dr. Larkin, but this is what happened, and this is the man who stopped it from happening." And then says, "Oh, very intriguing. Let me take," and she finds out he used to be a cop. "Oh, well, let me take you on the tour of the grounds," and we get to the garden section. Because how many missions have gardens like this? I could see having like a vegetable garden so you could help feed people.
Yeah, there's this whole kind of, secret ninja Foot Clan aspect going on to it. So there is that kind of feng shui area of it. So it's like a food pantry mission / underground ninja ring kind of thing. So
excellent.
Because back then
there was a garden on the roof of the prison in Blood Fist 3.
Right. I'm aware. But that's to make food for people. Wasn't it a vegetable garden? Weren't they making their own sauce?
That's when they invited Don Wilson to sit down and they would cook them some spaghetti and all that stuff.
Make your own sauce with those fresh tomatoes. All right. Don the Dragon Wilson just getting mentioned left and right on this show.
He's the man.
I thought Barry Chan was the man. How many men could there be?
Barry Chan is
he's goddamn Barry Chan. You just proved my point. So yeah, but the tour is cut short because Akira interrupts and Dr. Larkin excuses herself.
Well, there's also the fact that these are the flowers.
Yes, he did see this is where those flowers come from. This is where she's getting those flowers. But why was that flower at the gym?
Putting the pieces together.
Roger has done his little background check, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he was a cop. Oh, I know. He told me he resigned. Well, we'll have to verify that." And then Titus is ready. He's like, "If he's lying, I'll just kill him." Titus is ready to kill at a moment's notice.
Well, that's what got him where he is.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of action with Matthias other than the death of Cedric scene.
Yeah.
He's not the usual brute that he is. He's more of a silent force here.
And a cop in this time of this election, a former cop who quit the force, now working with the Mission of Justice. That's headline news. That's front page news in Eastgate.
I'm frankly shocked that after the media spin and everything they're doing behind the scenes to manipulate this, and she's still 2 points down.
Yeah.
That incumbent mayor must be very popular.
He must have been the mayor forever. And he's just one of those guys. Because and you could just be all these criminals just keep getting out 2 seconds after they're arrested. That should reflect poorly on this mayor and his whole system over there. Jimmy now is watching a movie on TV that features a car crash. I was going to look this up to see if these were actual things. I mean, that Western probably was. I would imagine this movie was as well. But then a Larkin campaign commercial comes on and he can't turn that TV off quick enough. And Grandma's like, why would you turn off Dr. Larkin? What aren't you telling me?
She's such a sweet old lady.
What aren't you telling me? What has gotten into you, Jimmy? He has no answers for his grandma. He doesn't want to get her all wound up because she does have a heart condition. He doesn't want to stress her out. We now meet, we may have seen her earlier, but let's get into this right-hand lady, Erin.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get into her.
Oh,
Yeah.
giving this podcast an X rating, Ryan Campbell.
Cyndi Pass was a hottie in this movie, man. Jeez.
She is. She was also in Bounty Tracker with Lorenzo Lamas. I remembered her from there.
All right, I'm gonna check that one out.
Ryan Campbell will not pass
I'm a single
on
man.
on that movie. She flirts with Kurt a bit as they go to the Mission of Justice martial arts class in the garden, where Kurt pulls out an impressive move, and Dr. Larkin happens to walk by, and she said, "Well, one move doesn't make a peacemaker." Cut to not perhaps actually, the scene of scenes. This is the scene that defines this entire movie, Chris. When you think about Mission of Justice, you think about the gauntlet.
Dun,
The
dun,
gauntlet, the initiation for the peacemakers. There's 3 of them, including Mr. Kurt Harris, and they have to run up to, well, not run, but battle their way up through fighters on either side of them, using the, is it Eskrima? Am I saying
believe
that
so.
properly? The Eskrima
Mhm.
sticks. And if they cannot defeat all of their opponents, which is made of other peacemakers, so really you're beating the shit out of people that you're going to have to work with on a daily
Mhm.
basis. So you might be ruffling some feathers here. But yeah, this scene, it's the most memorable, not just for this movie, but one of the most memorable scenes in 90s action. I think it's the scene that really put me over the top as a Jeff Wincott fan because he is just an absolute badass here, especially towards the end of the scene. I like when he does just like that rapid fire drum beat
That
up
was
and down from
exactly.
like, head to toe on that guy and then knocks his ass out.
Yeah, that
Just
was the
a
standout for
fantastic
me
scene.
too. He's just drumming on
That
him.
for you too?
Yeah, that definitely stuck out to me as being like one of the cooler moments.
Yeah, Jeff Wincott, he's the man in this movie. And he watches the first guy go, fails. Second guy goes, fails. So Kurt's like, I'm not going to do the exact same thing these 2 idiots did.
Definition of
So
insanity.
he takes the sticks and he like throws them in the middle of the line. And it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, because the first 2 guys didn't even make
Right.
it past like the first
But he's like,
sticks.
he's
So I think there's what, there's maybe like 10
Yeah.
on each side. So maybe like there's 20 opponents.
It's probably about right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you're like, why would you throw the sticks away? You need the, but he had a plan, and he gets in there and he flips in there, so he's already in the heart of it. He doesn't have to go. Oh, very smart. And next thing you know, as you said, he does his thing. He's now in Dr. Larkin's inner sanctum. And Ryan,
Is it bad that I was thinking throughout this that did Jimmy really do
yeah,
this?
no, I thought you were.
How did Jimmy make it?
I was
through
about
the
to say
gauntlet?
you were about to want to be in Aaron's inner sanctum.
That's a gauntlet I would take on.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I read at one point when,
Do some
going down
drumming.
rabbit holes in the internet for some of our favorite movies here. But I think Jeff Wincott trained with the sticks for the first time, like the day that this scene was shot. Like he was not an expert with the sticks. Like I think he trained like that day and still managed to pull off a scene.
He's a natural.
I was told he's the man.
He's good. I thought Don the Dragon was the man.
Well, you just said that's the 3rd time you said someone.
Barry Chan is not the man. That we've established.
If you got 3 men, you don't have 1.
3 men and a dragon. All right. So yeah, he's in. Kurt is now going to be teamed up with Sal, who's played by Jeff Pruitt, maybe the only person shorter than Jeff Wincott in this movie.
And he's got
gloves. He's also he was like the stunt coordinator, the fight coordinator of the movie as well. So he's got skills. First order of business is they got to check on Jimmy, who apparently did pass the gauntlet, despite Ryan's claims that he couldn't.
I hate to doubt him, but from what I just saw, I don't know.
All right.
I don't know if half these guys patrolling around could you're convincing me that they did that.
So they go to check on Jimmy because Jimmy has not been showing up for his patrols as of late. And they go to the house. They get to meet Flora. Jimmy's
Maybe that's it, because they knew they wanted Flora's house. They made
That's
Jimmy's
true.
easier
That is
because they were
true.
manipulating him.
He didn't have to do the same.
There was like 3 guys with I don't know, a straw. That's all he had to do.
Okay. So Jimmy freaks out because he recognizes Kurt from his cop days. I don't know why. Why would he freak out though? It's like you were on the same side. Chris, do you have an explanation for us?
Only thing I could think is that he was, at the time disillusioned with the
true.
peacemakers taking their jobs or taking the luster away from the police department, but now he's seen the light, or at least needs to play it that way while he's undercover.
He also could have read the article about former cop turned peacemaker thing and just think that he's a true believer.
Maybe. Well,
and I just wanted to look up quick. We were talking about Jeff Pruitt. Another connection from something we talked about at the beginning of the show, but Jeff Pruitt was in the original martial law that Jeff Wincott was not in.
Okay.
He was in Mission of Justice, as we know. He was in Bounty Tracker with Cyndi Pass, which we just mentioned. He was in another Jeff Wincott vehicle. Brain, I believe you reviewed this one a long, long time ago. Open Fire.
His Die Hard the Jeff Wincott Die Hard movie.
Yep. He was in Scanner Cop. And, we do love our wrestling references here. He was in The Bad Pack.
Oh, yeah.
With Roddy Piper.
Excellent.
So he has appeared as an actor in quite a bit, but it seems that for stunts, he was best known as doing stunts for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers television series and movie, and for Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Interesting. Yeah, he was legit. He was legit. We'll get to see him in some real good action in a bit.
Another great scene.
The narcotics, they get word that there's a narcotics transaction or a drug deal for us common folk. And the cops responding to it. It's Sergeant Duncan, who is now riding with Lynn. And they get there first, but they soon find themselves surrounded. They're in a bad spot until the peacemakers show up, much to Duncan's chagrin. And they...
Damn you, Harris.
Yeah.
I loved Duncan's. Do it, Chinaman. The guy said, I'm Korean, you idiot.
Yeah, he's like, he's Chinese. And then the guy does an accent that you can't get away with nowadays.
No, that whole bit was just kind of laughably cringe. But Duncan, you moron.
And I looked up the cop that he was in the station in the beginning when Karen Sheperd kicked the locker. He's like the guy that kind of ducked. But he's the one that shows up. He's like, what's going on here? That guy, I have to go back and look. He's in either Martial Law 1 or 2. He's in there. You can see him. But I guess he's uncredited there because his only credit on IMDb is this movie, even though I've seen him in at least one of the other martial laws, if not something else. But his real name is Flint Lock, which just stands out as a recognizable name. So I'm like, that I would recognize that name from another movie, but apparently, unless he's under a different name and IMDb just has it wrong. But yeah, Flint Lock played Officer Winger in this film, and I just thought that was a very, very standout name.
Here for all you parents, here's one for them. Flint Lockwood is the character in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
You know what? My son watched that when he was younger. I don't think we've watched it in years.
The main character's name is Flint Lockwood.
Fascinating. The things you learn on this program. After the situation with the drug deal, Lynn's questioning Kurt, what are you doing? And he's like, hey, he pulls her aside. I think Cedric's death is connected to the mission. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Just leave me in the woods. I'll figure it out. I'll ping you in when I'm ready.
So later at the Mission of Justice building, Titus catches Kurt kind of trying to get into the little security room. And Titus like, what are you doing? And it's like, uh-oh. But Aaron shows up and it's like,
yes, he does.
I gotta take you down for some testing.
Yes, I'll pass.
So they go down there. She's hooking Kurt up with the little electrodes. And Kurt's like, hey, what about Cedric? Did you know him? And all this. And Aaron's like, why are you asking me about Cedric? So Dr. Larkin then shows up. And Kurt's like, oh, I'm so tired. Can I just stay here at the mission tonight? Oh, of course. This is home for you now, Kurt.
Why did Dr. Larkin interrupt the session? Because she doesn't really ask him anything. She interrupts it, and then they immediately walk into the room where he asked if he can stay the night. So, like, what was her reasoning for breaking up the session? I know that they're watching it from the outside, and we're concerned about him asking about Cedric, but
maybe just to make old Kurt uneasy. I don't know. Like maybe,
or like a false sense of security, like, oh, like the doctor's not on to me. Like she's gonna tell her cronies to back off.
So Kurt does go in a little like the barracks, and for some reason there's a camera in there, which Kurt notices, and that's going to be his first obstacle. But he's going to go to that security office one way or the other, and he goes up through the ceiling.
A drop ceiling. Yeah, that's
didn't
tricky.
Understand that part. It wasn't like he was going through the ducts. He was just, how is that drop ceiling holding his weight?
I'm going to assume that there was like a girder system of metal that's above that drop ceiling that he's just kind of wiggling around in. Okay. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Because I'm like, said that, and I'm like, he didn't go into the vent. Because he was like, there was all kinds of, it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to care about stuff like that. But he does get into the office, and that's where he sees a VHS tape, much like I may have this movie on a VHS tape, with Cedric's name on it. So he takes the tape, turns the box around, so there's not a hole in there, but there is. But it's obvious. Titus enters the room, so Kurt has to go out the window, and he's hanging by the ledge. Close call.
Testing that grip strength.
Yeah, close call. But then Titus is like, I'm going to check where that damn Kurt Harris is. We don't really see how he does it, but he gets back into that bed before Titus gets there. He's fast.
And resourceful. Tells him. And he kind of gives the game away a little bit. Not exactly the best one-liner. Like, he leans up and looks at me and says, sorry, what does he say? Sorry, big man, this one's taken. Like, clearly kind of, like that you're on to what he was trying to do to catch you. Like, I think a more proper response would have been like, I was asleep. Like, I don't know.
The proper response would have been, Aaron, is that you?
That would have been the proper, yeah, that would have been my response.
That's gonna be what Ryan Campbell says tonight, like 3 a.m. when he's like talking to himself in his sleep.
I sure hope so, if I'm lucky.
Oh,
someone's got to make up for Chad.
What a world we're living in. So now the next day, Samuel is out collecting for the Larkin campaign. He stops at Eastgate Automotive.
Pretty sure that's here in Cincinnati.
I think so. And they throw him out on his ass, and he's like, I think they're doing illegal. I think this might be a chop shop. I'm gonna let my boss know about this. Meanwhile, Kurt is back at his.
I like Samuel. I don't know I don't know how much he really knows about what's going on, but he just seems like he's a true believer, man. He's just out there trying to do the good work. He's got a little bucket.
He's got a bucket, all right. Kurt is back at his place. He's got the Cedric tape. Aha! Lynn was waiting, but she wasn't like waiting at his door. She was like coming from upstairs. Like, was she just wandering the stairs? Was she doing her stair climbing exercises?
Stairmaster.
She was like, I don't have my Stairmaster. I just keep going up and down the stairs until Kurt shows up. So they watch the tape, and we see Cedric hooked up to the gimmick, the electrodes, and talking to Aaron. And he admits he used to gamble on his own fights. He would bet on himself. He never threw a fight, though. He just knew he was going to win, so why not cash in on that? But, if that ever got out, that just completely his legacy is destroyed, Ryan Campbell.
Yeah, and that also explains how they knew, because there was a discussion earlier in the movie, because Cedric had said that he won the lottery, and they were wondering how anyone would even know to take that money because that wasn't the case. But now we know how they knew that he had that money from his gambling winnings.
He's a gambler.
So now they know that they had something on Cedric, and that must have been what kind of put him under their thumb and eventually led to his
He
death.
saw how Pete Rose was handled. He didn't want that trouble. So Lynn thinks, oh, we should get this tape to evidence. But Kurt's like, no, the secret will die with Cedric. And he just rips that tape up. And very similar to when we talked about Death Wish 2. You can't just go throwing certain things away where people could find it. Paul Kurz, I mean,
You need to be a little bit more discreet. You got to go, drive it to like a dumpster across town.
Or put it like in the
Burn
the kitchen put it under more garbage, not just right out in the open, because that will come back to haunt him. Lynn then was like, oh, well, we got some more information. Someone fitting Jimmy Parker's description was seen fleeing the gym that night. Again, not the entourage of human beings that were in and out of there, but Jimmy. Somebody was looking just at the time Jimmy took off. In election news, the polls are dead even. So to your point, Ryan Campbell, all that's been going on.
They still can't bust through. It's tough for a woman out there in politics, I gotta say.
So we need something big. Time is running out. Polls are dead even. We need a big headline. And my boy Samuel had just told me I'm speaking for Dr. Larkin. Samuel just told me about this chop shop. I'm going to send star former cop, new peacemaker Kurt Harris to shut down the chop shop.
Oh, he shuts it down.
Kurt's like, well, I'm going to need some guys with me. And of course, he picks Sal and Jimmy. Now,
Jimmy, who is against doing all this and trying to stay away from it, but for whatever reason, when Kurt's involved, just jumps right back into it.
Because they didn't have any other characters. It was too late in the movie to establish yet another character. But now the real genius part of the plan, Chris, because Roger calls Sergeant Duncan.
Yep, sells out his own men so that way they can get Harris in trouble.
Mm-hmm. So the cops show up and arrest.
They're going to make martyrs of them.
They arrest the three peacemakers, but not until we at least get probably the second best action scene in the movie. And
I think it's the first.
You think this is better than the Gauntlet?
I think it's the best one.
I just love the creativity and again the environment. I like when fight scenes use the environment as part of it. You got banging off of like dome lights and the little ping noises and jumping all over the place and throwing each other into poles, hydraulic lifts going up and down, people trying to put drills through people's heads, the guy being hung by an air hose. Like this, there's just so much going on.
And a guy with a chainsaw.
Yes, how did I even forget the chainsaw?
I'll tell you what.
Now, do you prefer this garage brawl or the one in Only the Strong?
You know what? You know what I thought of when I saw this? Because I had forgotten about it. I'd forgotten about this garage scene in Mission of Justice. Again, when I think Mission of Justice, I think that Gauntlet, and that is stuck with me. That is burned in my brain. But I forgot about this, and then I said, whoa, 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 whoa. World's Most Dangerous Garages.
That's right. I think if you're going to go based on like fight choreography of martial arts, then yeah, the Gauntlet scene is really impressive. But for just like a entertaining movie fight with a unique environment, I think this one takes the cake.
Yeah, and Only the Strong would certainly be on that list. You can't forget another Mark Dacascos movie, Drive. Even though that was Kadeem Hardison doing most of the garage fights. So yeah, that probably is coming down the road, folks. Bulletproofaction.com. So now Roger plans a bit like, okay, they arrested him just like we thought. You know what? You go down there tomorrow. I could arrange for all the news stations, the papers to all be there when you have to bail out these guys who are actually trying to clean up the city, unlike these freaking cops who work for the mayor who don't do shit. This will be the tipping point for the Larkin campaign. And as a double extra added bonus, Jimmy is in jail, which means Flora is all alone at home. And guess what, Chris? She just updated her will, and everything is going to the mission or Dr. Larkin, including her home, which is what she really wanted.
Yeah, they stopped by for some pillow talk.
Oh.
And by
Yeah.
pillow talk, I mean James Lou decides to smother her. But, obviously, Jimmy being out of the way, it makes sense. Let's do it while he's not at home. But if she was going to go this route, instead of just like scamming her or whatever like that, if she was actually going to kill her, couldn't she have just been like, hey, Jimmy, I need you on a night patrol?
True.
Or, what about the night that he stopped the liquor store right at the beginning? That wasn't like 8 o'clock at night. That was very clearly later at night. There's no one in the liquor store. It had to be at least after 11. So, why didn't you do it one of these other
You know
times?
why she did? Because
So
she hadn't
again,
updated her will yet. She
yes,
just
okay.
had
Fair
updated her
point.
will, so that explains that. All right.
Fair point.
Well,
And to add insult to injury, they put the doctor's book in her hands, like she was reading it when she died, just to really drive the knife in there to Jimmy.
She loved Dr. Larkin. Back in jail, Kurt's asking Jimmy about Cedric, and he kind of finds out, yeah, he was training with the champ.
It's kind of crazy how long it took for those two to finally just talk and figure out that they're kind of both trying to do the same thing.
So the next day, as predicted, there's the media's there. There's people protesting that these peacemakers have been arrested. Sergeant Duncan actually gets the call before Dr. Larkin even has to go in that, yeah, you got to let those guys go. This is not good. But Dr. Larkin still shows up, gets her positive publicity. And back at the mission, though, the guy who sits in the security room most of the time finds that empty VHS box and immediately runs over to Roger with it. And now is when they know Mr. Harris has been up to something. They go to his apartment. They find that tape. As again, if he didn't just throw it right there in the trash can out in the open.
They probably still would have found the picture, though.
That is true. They did see the picture. That was sealed the deal. So then, like, okay, well, we got to get rid of Mr. Harris, but we can't just we got to do this right. So Roger's like, hey, we need some stuff for the big ceremony. Why don't you go to this address and pick it up? All right. I'm a trusted employee of the mission. But when he goes there, there's just a abandoned warehouse or some such, the type of place you'd find in an action movie.
Yeah, a dangerous.
Oh, you better believe it. And it was very dangerous for Sergeant Duncan, who we had seen get killed by Titus, and now just hanging there. And
Kurt says, hey, this pinata looks like my old sergeant.
I hated him. And then the cops show up, and it's like there's Kurt standing by this dead Sergeant Duncan. Now Kurt's the suspect. He's on the run. First place he decides to go is Jimmy's house. I guess maybe that was close by because, again, this freaking house is just in the middle of everything. And he's like, I need your help. They've set me up. And then Jimmy's like, oh, I'm finally going to admit to you that I saw Dr. Larkin kill Cedric. And next thing you know, Titus and Akiro show up, beat them down, and they drag Jimmy away. I guess they were leaving Kurt for the cops to find.
Yeah, I think
if they're trying to eliminate him, then why would they just leave him there?
Well, I think they thought that he would get probably killed because you hear one of them say he's a cop killer. Yeah. So knowing that the fact that he killed a cop, cops aren't, whenever the cops get there, they ain't taking him in.
That's a good point. So Lynn, meanwhile, has gone to the mission to look for Kurt, and they're like, he's not here. She goes out to her car. Guess who's in the back of the car? It's Kurt. And then he has a plan. Meanwhile, Jimmy is being questioned by Aaron in the testing room.
Lucky piece of crap.
Wow. So not only do you want this woman, you want to be tortured by her.
I'd take it. Whatever gets me in the room, man. I just need a shot.
Okay. Kurt and Lynn sneak over the wall, and we get some Kurt versus Akiro action. And Lynn just takes on the other guys, and this is where she gets to show off a lot of more of her martial arts skills.
Against the nameless mission.
Yeah, and then Kurt kills Akiro with the Kirkensteiner.
I like that. That's good.
It's very good. He just dropped him right on his head, broke his.
And they put a very nice crack
broke
noise
that
in
neck
there too when it happened.
Made him humble. Now they got to get inside, so we're just going to shimmy up a pipe because I've got strength. And security dude, he like taps on the window. Security dude looks out. He just pulls him out the window. That security dude sucked at his job.
He didn't go through the gauntlet.
He did not. Kurt. And so now we get a very long fight between Kurt and Titus. And it starts right there outside that door. Lynn goes to rescue Jimmy, and we get a nice Lynn versus Aaron matchup. So we got two like
saving Jimmy from being like the whole shock therapy. It's basically like frying him.
They're going to
because Aaron just like keeps amping it up and hitting him, and he's like, "Oh, you fucking bitch!" Oh. And he's all like sweaty, and his eyes are rolling in the back of his head.
He's having a rough go of it until Lynn shows up, and all that's going on at the same time. We find out that with 53% of the vote, it looks like Dr. Larkin is going to be the new mayor of Eastgate.
That is a really early to call a race. That was apparently like 1 or 2 points in the margin of error. 53% of the vote in.
Right. So she goes down to the Mission of Justice atrium to deliver a speech. Kurt versus Titus is still going. They're going up and down stairwells, in hallways, and then they're
taking a tour.
Yeah, they're going. It's like a boiler room brawl type situation, or maybe Hacksaw Duggan and King Harley Race at the Slammy Awards. They're just fighting all over the building. And then Lynn, meanwhile, finally gets the better of Aaron, handcuffs her. Ryan Campbell.
I'm just thinking about it.
Handcuffs her to a chair. And
with consent. I would need consent though. That's I want everyone out there in podcast world to understand. I wouldn't handcuff her to a chair without
get the cold shower started.
Consent. Get consent.
So then Lynn takes Jimmy down to the atrium, kind of has him sit off to the back so nobody could see him. I don't. But then here's the interesting part. There's a TV there. And Lynn spots it and like, oh, I've got an idea. So she goes to the security office.
In the same way that we talked about, if you're going to destroy something that's incriminating, you got to make sure you thoroughly destroy it. If you are an evil person in power, either a CEO or a political figure, never perform a speech in front of a TV or some sort of display device. It will bite you in the ass.
I'm not sure how Lynn knew that TV, which was not powered on, by the way, was somehow connected to the TVs up in the security office.
Again, maybe the plot was furthered by coincidence and happenstance.
Maybe she worked in a production truck at some point.
I mean, it'd be one thing if like there was like this loop playing of like, I don't know, Dr. Larkin is the greatest, blah, 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 some jingle. I don't know. And then she's like, oh, I'm going to put this tape in where this tape is playing. No. Somehow she puts the tape and the TV turns on. Stupid ass Roger can't even turn the damn TV off. He's fumbling. He's all nervous. But yeah, we see what just happened. Like, it's Jimmy and Aaron and Larkin talking about the murder, and that's on TV, and everybody's there to see it. The mask is off now, folks. We see.
And if you go back and watch it, it's actually a different tape of what had happened. I'm assuming they probably either filmed the scene twice or maybe dubbed in different dialogue. But when we see the actual scene of Jimmy getting, shocked, she's like, "Oh, you fucking bitch," oh, like that. When they show the scene on the television, he goes, "Oh, burn in hell." So it's actually totally different, even though it's supposed to be what we had seen earlier.
Burn in hell, indeed. Uh so yeah, now she's freaking out. Is Dr. Larkin, and she gets those blades again, and she's about to do her move. She's about to kill Kurt, who
Turns out the move only works when the person's being
and
held
we did
against
miss
their
out
will.
that Kurt does kick old Titus through like the window overlooking the atrium. So Titus has been.
Yeah, we overlooked. We didn't mention one of the most memorable
I
parts of
know
the
he's got
film:
the belt.
the
He
fact
shows off the
that
belt
Matthias Matthias Hues Titus has been wearing Cedric's heavyweight boxing
under
championship
his coat.
under his
Yeah,
blazer for the past
yeah.
week or so since they killed Cedric. 2 weeks. And we only discover it when a la Bret Hart and Goldberg in what was it, '98? Uh, Wincott goes for a move, Kurt Harris goes for a move, and is like, "Oh, like what the hell was that? Like that, that hurt me more than it hurt him." And Titus reveals that the move was blocked by Cedric's belt. And one of the most memorable scenes, most memorable line in the movie is like, "Now I'm champion of the world."
Good.
And that pretty much fuels Kurt Harris's rage, which leads to Titus's death. We're bookended by window shots in Mission of Justice. We get a perp flying through a window in the beginning, and we get Titus flying through a window at the
And I
end.
also need to mention that then Kurt just jumps from that.
Yeah, the same height.
Yeah, he jumps like 20 feet down and lands on his feet without blowing
Right.
out a knee.
He's the man.
And so yeah, then the thing. So Larkin's like, "Oh, what's going on?" Jimmy's like, "She's a murderer," and then the video starts playing. Roger's scrambling to shut it off. Larkin pulls out the blades. She goes to kill Kurt, same way she did Cedric, but Kurt stops her and he turns the tables and he's like, "Oh, I could do this right now. I could kill this bitch."
It's rather erotic too. It was like a very
Yeah.
sensual
Don't.
blocking. Like he's like on top of her and she's like, "Do it, do it."
Mm,
And he's like, And like they're like longingly looking at each other for a minute.
maybe she had some when she wasn't with Matthias. No, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, instead of killing her though, he arrests her, and then outside the mission, he's like, "Hey, can I trade in my ring for my old badge?" And we get the end credits, and evil has been thwarted. I guess the incumbent mayor sticks around for another term. Ryan Campbell, your final Mission of Justice thoughts?
Yeah, really, really good watch. It fits right in that sweet zone, about an hour and a half. Moves quickly. There's no drag in the plot like you get a lot of times with some of these. Great action. Like I said, the intensity just kind of starts right off the bat and does not stop throughout the entire thing. So I enjoyed it. If you have not checked it out, holds up really well.
Toyman.
I mean, you and I have talked about this movie back and forth for years. It's a favorite of mine. Now the audience knows how much I love this film. One of my favorites of the video and cable era. Like I said, I still maintain my VHS of it. But this is one, Vinegar Syndrome, Kino Lorber, MVD, whichever one of you wants to pick up the rights to this one. This is going to be one of the top choices, if not the top choice that I've got for a Blu-ray or a 4K
Yeah, it's
release.
like Vinegar did the martial laws, so it is kind of odd. It almost felt like, okay, well, this one's coming then next, and then it just never came. So yeah, Mission of Justice, absolutely. This is not a movie. I don't think this is a Jeff Wincott that I saw back in the day. I think this was a Jeff Wincott I saw once we started doing this bulletproofaction.com. So I was like, wow. I was blown away the moment I saw it. And it was like, this is probably Jeff Wincott's best freaking movie.
For sure. I mean, Deadly Bet is almost more like
Yeah.
a drama.
The only one I would think,
That one
the
wasn't
only
like heavy
one
on
that
the
might
action.
challenge it would be maybe Last Man Standing.
Yeah.
That would be it'd be a tough. And Open Fire is
Yeah.
pretty good too.
I like martial law too, but that's as much
Yeah,
Cynthia's movie as it is
yeah,
his.
he shares that one. So, but yeah, I think Mission of Justice is the best you're going to get from Jeff Wincott, in the peak of his performance, at the peak of his action career. Um, just an and again, as we said at the top, it's not just one sided. You've got great villains. You've got frickin' Brigitte Nielsen. You got Matthias Hues. You've got James Liu. You've got an asshole sergeant to help out too. You've just got some good stuff here all throughout.
Tony
Tony
Burton.
Burton, yeah. Come on now. Karen Sheperd, legit martial artists. Sal, Jeff Pruitt, come on. We went through his resume as well. So a lot of
Yeah, we talked about the rapid fire stick shot in the Gauntlet. How about Sal's punches in the
Mhm.
garage where he's just like clubbering the guy and it's like ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, and he probably hits him about 20 times in 30 seconds.
You're right. It's good. This is a great movie. If you've not seen it, you need to see it. If you haven't seen it in a while, give it a go.
Brain, how did you not bring up that Jeff Wincott was on Blue Bloods?
He was on Blue Bloods quite a few times. Yeah, he was like the SWAT commander or something, I believe.
ESU
Now, see,
captain.
Blue Bloods I started watching when it first came out. What was it, 2010, I think, because I was living back in my apartment back then. And I kind of fell out of it in like season 3 because they changed the entire plot line from season 1. Like the whole thing was like, oh, like we had
Yeah.
the son that got killed somehow, so there was like the mystery to it. And I feel like they wrapped that up pretty quick, and then it just became a
Yep.
cop show.
It sure did. And there's now going to be a spin-off. Did you hear?
Really?
Yeah, Danny Reagan moves to Boston.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So basically, Donnie
He
Wahlberg
goes
goes
home.
home.
Yeah. He goes home and he gets partnered up with a female Boston cop, and yeah, I think it's called Boston Blue. I believe so. CBS has just announced it, I think this past week. But yeah, there you go. Mission of Justice. Before we go though, Chris, since we've mentioned it, I think it would be on a lot of people's wish list for Blu-rays, but I wanted to go through, and it was tough to come up with top 5 Blu-rays that I wish were in existence. Ryan Campbell, I don't know if you will have anything for this because you don't even have a way to play physical media, do you?
That, and I mean, I kind of grew up around the Blu-ray era, so there's not too many movies that like I could probably be fond of or have nostalgia for that didn't get a Blu-ray release.
There you go. Chris, you're number 5 on your list. What do you got?
Oh, number 5.
You don't have to you
You're
don't have to
making
count
me.
Mission of Justice. We'll both agree Mission of Justice needs made.
All right, I would have to say then it's tough because I really couldn't narrow a lot of these down. But I would say the one that need now. I asked you this in our text chain.
You could do
Are we going
you could
movie
do a
by
box
movie
set.
or do
You could do a
collections
collection
count?
if you want.
Then I think it's about time we had an upgrade with maybe some commentary. I think the original set's been out of print for a while. It's gotten pretty pricey, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, let's get the Ring of Fire trilogy
Ah, yeah.
on Blu-ray or 4K.
My number 5 has Matthias Hues in it. It also has Michael Worth. It is Fist of Iron.
Yes, great movie, great movie.
Number 4.
Number 4, probably To Be the Best with our pal
Another
Michael
Michael
Worth
Worth one, yeah.
and Cobra Kai's own Martin Cove.
My number 4, King of the Kickboxers. Billy Blanks, Lauren Avedon,
Mm-hmm.
Keith
Yep.
Cook. Unforgettable film. Punjabi prison type cage match at the end. Give me a break. That's awesome. Number 3, Chris.
a film that you and I both love, a more mainstream martial arts film, but still one that only has a standard DVD release. Or am I mistaken? Wait a minute, hold on. Did only the strong
It
get a
did
Blu-ray?
not, at least not in our country.
And nope, that's what I was wondering. Did we get it in America or was it a foreign release? I would love to see an only the strong Blu-ray.
My number 3, and I would love to see a certain scene. And Ryan Campbell, we've watched this scene before. No Retreat, No Surrender 3, Blood Brothers,
Yeah.
where the dad gets kicked through the doors, off the balcony, into the pool. That is one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen.
Deserves to be in
It does.
Blu-ray in all of its glory.
It does. Chris, you're number 2.
Number 2, another collection. This is
Cheater.
one that I mentioned to you in the
Yeah.
text chain. It is a collection that I still have every single film on the actual released VHS, not just the taped off TV versions. But Shout Factory has done a bare bones release of the first one. But give me all 8. Give me everything from Don the Dragon Wilson's famous Blood Fist collection on Blu-ray.
My number 2, and everybody, what I'm basically saying is somebody needs to get the rights to these damn seasonal movies, because my number 2 is Ninja in the Dragon's Den.
Mm.
Absolutely.
See, I didn't even think about going old school. I did, we talk about old school kung fu so much, but I was so hyper focused on the movies that I remember from cable and renting that I didn't even think to go that far
Ninja in the
back.
Dragon's Den and Revenge of the Ninja are like neck and neck for my favorite ninja movie of all time. I would absolutely love a Ninja in the Dragon's Den Blu-ray. All right, the moment of truth now. Your number 1 movie you want to see on
My
Blu-ray.
number 1, this has been on my wish list for a physical release for a long time. I believe you can still find it on YouTube. It is never on streaming anywhere, not even on Tubi, Crackle, Popcorn Flicks, none of them. It is often mislabeled or misremembered because it shares a title with a much more famous film from within a year of they were released within a year of each other. But a film that stars another friend of the site, Mr. Jerry Trimble, aka Jerry Pelt from One Man Army, if you remember that famous earlier review that I did for the site. But Jerry Trimble's Full Contact, one of my absolute favorite films from the DTV era. There is no official release. I've had a burned copy for years. I've still got my VHS, taped it off Cinemax back in the day. Who knows if that even plays still, but it is tucked away with the collection. But, I would really love to see that movie especially. Jerry Trimble had some great movies, but I feel like he's kind of gotten overlooked because a lot of people kind of cater to, Billy Blanks and Cynthia Rothrock and Don Wilson. So let's show Jerry some love because this was his best effort as far as I'm concerned.
Jerry Trimble is somebody we probably have to discuss here on the podcast as well, because he, much like Jeff Wincott, is somebody we've never touched on before, I don't believe.
Let's see if Full Contact's on YouTube for ease of access. And
Well,
maybe we can do a
while
full
you're looking
contact
at
review.
that, I will give you my absolute number 1 on the Blu-ray wish list. And it pained me last year when a big piece of this was taken from us. I want to see Iron Eagle on Blu-ray before I die.
Yes.
Because Louis Gossett Jr. has now passed. He could have been amazing on the commentary or on an interview.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing people. We need this.
Iron Eagle's not on Blu-ray? Yeah, I could see that.
And the
being your
regular
number 1.
release, I don't even think they've done like a regular release in
I
years.
have it on.
I think it's pretty much just like the one bare bones
I have
release,
the
right?
DVD. I have a laser disc, but I do not have a Blu-ray.
Did they do like one of those like Iron Eagle 1 and 2 like double features or
Not
anything
that I
like that?
know of.
No.
Not that I think they have Ace's Iron Eagle 3. Do I have that on Blu-ray for some reason? Like, well, how did that one get? It's just
That might be a
yeah,
rights thing.
I'm sure it is. I thought for sure, like when the Maverick Top Gun like was the biggest freaking movie of the year that year. Like, okay, Sony, get your heads out of your ass and put out the Iron Eagle. No,
Strike while the iron's
that
hot.
iron's cold now. Although I think are they making another Top Gun movie? Maybe by the time that one comes out. All right.
And just so you gentlemen know, if you would like to do it for next time, Jerry Trimble's Full Contact is still on YouTube.
Settle down, because next time we're going to talk about somebody else that we haven't talked. Well, we could do that one, I guess. We'll see. I'm not going to give that away. I will tell you in 2 weeks, though, we are going to talk about The Last Dragon. 40th anniversary of that coming up. So it might be Full Contact next week. It might be something else. We'll find out. We'll all find out together. When it drops, you'll know. When we record, we'll know. We'll know before the people.
Hopefully we do.
Unless we do it live. But I don't see that. That would be a waste of time. All right, folks. Any other final thoughts from anyone? Ryan Campbell, do you need to take a cold shower, I think. As soon as this is over.
Like right away? I don't have a little bit of time.
That we don't need to know.
There's going to be a lot of Cyndi Pass in his search history tonight.
She was in like some kind of bikini movie. You might want to check that out.
I'm on it.
I bet you are.
You wish you were on it.
I bet he does. Toyman, you have anything for us before we go?
Just as always, please check out figurestoycompany.com for all of your action figure and accessory needs when it comes to the world of wrestling and the world of retro figures. Again, my buddy Jim Cornette, you'll find plenty of figures of Mr. Cornette and the Midnight Express, figures of popular current day stars like Swerve Strickland, Eli Drake, aka LA Knight, and more, plus retro figures from DC Comics, Hanna-Barbera, The Three Stooges, all available at figurestoycompany.com.
And of course, I should also remind everybody about social media. You can let us know what your Blu-ray top 5 is. You can hit us up at Bulletproof Pod on X/Twitter and Blue Sky as well. We're at Bulletproof Pod, and at Bulletproof Action on Instagram and Facebook. Put a note in our group. Maybe I'll start a post in the group. Get some activity going on over there. Maybe. All right. Again, in 2 weeks' time, again, we will be talking The Last Dragon for the 40th anniversary, and we'll have something for you next week. Guaranteed. All right, guys, thank you so much, and thank all of you for listening. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.